This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday, TGIF. It is Friday, February 28th. This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS preview show. I am James Grande, your host today, joined by Keith Eister. You can follow us both on Twitter. You can see our Twitter handles down there at EYS819DFS and at _real_Grande. Keith, what's going on, brother? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, man. We were just discussing the Thursday slate before we came on. After we got off the live show, all hell broke loose, man. It was just news piece. Every piece of news that could have broke did break, with guys getting rolled out, and turned into quite a wild slate after we were on the live show yesterday.
It was the Elmo meme with all the fire coming down, right? Is that
everything is fine? Everything is fine.
That's a good one too. It was definitely a turn that was probably unexpected by most, but I think we had a pretty good grasp of everything. If you guys are in our NBA or in our Discord, the Fantasy Alarm Discord that you can find in the description of this show, you would have seen all the updates that we're constantly making. So be sure to click on the link below, join the family today, and you too will get all these updates up to the minute with all the news and notes of the slate and everything that's taking place before lock and after lock, obviously, because everything took place after lock. We have 8 games on this slate kicking off at 7 p.m. The late night hammer is, hey, look, we're just running it right back. New Orleans and Phoenix in Phoenix. I don't know why the NBA does this a lot. This is not baseball where they're playing like 3-game sets in a city, but I guess, they want to be. I don't know.
It never used to be like this. It started during COVID when they were trying to cut down on travel. Is when this all started.
That's true.
It just never went away.
Yeah, that's a good point. Nevertheless, we do have New Orleans and Phoenix running it back, so we will see what they elect to do. Who sits on the front on the back end? We saw Bradley Beal sit on the front end. Maybe an indication as to why. Other than those two teams, the Denver Nuggets are the only other team on this main slate on second legs of back-to-backs. When it comes to spend-ups, Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Cade Cunningham, Karl-Anthony Towns, the 4 guys over $10,000. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. We are going to break down this slate position by position, starting at the point guard spot. And it would help if I had the slate showing. So now we do. And now let's go. Starting at point guard, Shai, Cade, Trae Young, Jalen Brunson, your 4 guys above $9,000. How would you break those 4 players down?
SGA at the top is, all 4 of them are obviously fantastic options. They typically are. SGA is in a very fast game against the highest paced team in the NBA in Atlanta. They're up there. I believe Memphis is
second. Second now.
Atlanta's second. SGA is that's the type of game we target SGA in. So I really like him. I think the best. Cade has been showing crazy ceiling as well. So don't hate that if you can't quite get up all the way to SGA. Trae Young is probably the one I would leave out of this group if I had to pick one, just because the matchup against OKC is really difficult. Best defensive team in the league. Of course, he can get hot from 3 and beat any matchup, but he's definitely my least favorite of the 4. And then Brunson's in a fast-paced game as well against Memphis, who is the fastest team. So probably SGA and Brunson, my 2 favorites, and Trae, the one that I kind of leave out.
Yeah, and Karl-Anthony Towns on the injury report listed questionable. So Jalen Brunson could look probably per dollar, as good as the top 2 per dollar. So we'll have to wait and see. That game tips off at 8 p.m. So we probably will not know. Come time, Tibbs is not a guy that really gives his hand too early. So That's probably going to be a post-lock note.
Just looked at the
Below,
spread to just trying to get some context. 244.5 is the total I'm seeing. Grizzlies favored by 3. I'm not sure if that tells us anything. That seems kind of like a hedge to me, but Grizzlies favored is leaning cat out, isn't it?
I think that would lean cat in. I usually think sportsbooks give benefit of the doubt with home teams. So my guess would
That's fair.
be cat in because they're in Memphis, but I guess we'll see if that line moves at all. It's -3 now, so we'll see. The Knicks, without Cat at home, squeaked out a victory against Philly the other day.
It's true.
They did not exactly look too good in that one. So we will see if Cat plays. Both centers questionable there, actually, Keith. Mitchell Robinson. It could be Mitchell Robinson's return. He is listed questionable as well. Under 9K at point guard, we have Devin Booker, Tyler Hero, a questionable Scotty Barnes, Tyrese Halliburton playing the best basketball of his season. We'll talk Donnie Mitch at shooting guard, John Morant 83, Josh Giddey 81. How do you assess this 8K tier?
Booker on the back-to-back, so that's a dock to him. But we did love that game environment on Thursday night. So the fact that it's a back-to-back, does that really impact us? It's playing out pretty well here. 65 points in the first quarter as we record this the night before. So I don't care about the back-to-back. I don't think. Probably going right back to Booker. Hero has been smashing. I mean, the ceiling has been incredible on this guy. Ever since Butler did his thing and got suspended, Hero kind of took over, and he hasn't really let up since. So definitely like Hero a good amount. Good fast-paced matchup there against Indiana. Scotty Barnes gets the Bulls, who we picked on all season long. Another fantastic play. Halliburton's found a ceiling here, 3 games in a row as well. So it's still loaded as we work our way down the salary range. All 4 of those guys really have shown massive ceiling. So I have interest.
I am interested in all 3 of those guys. I really like Ja in this spot. If the thing for Ja has always been the minutes for me. If you're going to see Ja, and I know this is an overtime game in Phoenix, but if you're going to start seeing Ja Morant consistently into the 30s and possibly mid-30s, then I have interest at 83. The Knicks are a bottom 10 defense in the NBA. I love Ja. And look, dude, we've said it a lot lately. If this is Josh Giddey and this is just who the Bulls are going to let Josh Giddey be, then he's still too cheap at $8,100 if we're going to get it's never been about his ability to stuff a stat sheet. One, he's being crazy good from 3, which has never been Josh Giddey, but also we've never seen the ability for him to develop that shot over, just playing through his misses, right? In OKC, he gets taken off the floor. They're the 1 seed last year. Like, hey, buddy, we don't really need you. They're in a play-in spot right now. They can let Josh Giddey do whatever he wants on the court. Off the court too. But he is, I believe Nikola Vucevic is listed as doubtful again. Doubtful. The rebounds were sustained again without Vooch last game. The assists ticked up. The scoring has been there. What's not to like about Giddey in a spot against Toronto at this price?
Yeah, I mean, just look at those game logs. What's he averaging? 56, 57 DraftKings points over the last 4 games?
Don't ask me to do math, bro, but thank God DraftKings to do it for me. 58 DraftKings points per game.
Yeah, just insane run here from Josh Giddey. Like you said, we've known forever that he can fill the stat sheet, even going back to when the Thunder were a bad team. Giddey was filling up the stat sheet for them. So not surprised to see this now that they've kind of fully turned it over to him. He's still too cheap.
Under $8,000 we go. Always interested to see how Denver handles some guys on back-to-backs. Jamal Murray has been someone listed on the injury report, probable or not, listed on the injury report every day with the knee. So we'll wait. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see if he's going to play or not. Darius Garland, 76. This game, circle on your calendar, is probably one of the better games we're going to see all year. This is the last time Cleveland and Boston will play in the regular season. Obviously, the Cavs made an improvement to their team since then, acquiring DeAndre Hunter, so we'll see. But 76 for Garland, 72 for Quickly, potentially no Scotty Barnes, 71 McCollum. We'll see if he plays. 7,000 Anthony Simons. What do you like in the 7K tier here, Keith?
Love the matchup for Quickly. He's shown a ceiling as well. If Scotty's out, then Quickly's going to be a big part of my lineups. 7,200. Just given that matchup as well. Garland, like that Cleveland Boston game, is that a game where we see the main guys get extended because they're gearing up, or do they kind of back off because they don't want to show each other everything? Obviously, they're expected to meet at some point in the playoffs. So, with the playoffs still a couple of months away, I'm not really concerned about that too much. I feel like they just kind of get their minutes. So,
yep.
That said, it's a tough matchup for Garland, but he's certainly in play. McCollum just hasn't seen the minutes here recently.
Nope.
Probably one of my least favorite New Orleans pieces, even though I am going to go right back to that game, but probably can't get to CJ. Simons always has a ceiling. The Nets play so slow, though. Again, not a team that I love to target for DFS, but Simons is a guy that I like to target for ceiling.
On the CJ front, I wouldn't be surprised if he sat here, second leg of a back-to-back. Nothing to play for, minutes already down. He hasn't played well. They rested a bunch of guys on the front leg with Kelly O and Bruce Brown. And so another spot I wouldn't be surprised to see someone resting. Dropping below $7,000. What do we like? I like that Dyson Daniels has the point guard eligibility again. That had been taken away from him. I finally clicked him in this Miami game, and he plays only 33 minutes, and the peripheral stats were fine, not great. Definitely didn't have 7 steals again. Say that. We got Daniels 67, Alvarado 59. Probably depends on who's in and who's out. Same thing with Denver. If Jamal Murray were to sit, Russell Westbrook would probably be the highest rostered player of the day. At 56? If there's no Murray, Westbrook is 80% in single entry in cash.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. Probably starts and plays 30 minutes.
30 minutes,
Yeah.
For sure. What else do we like? I mean, do we look at Ty Jerome? Garland's off the injury report. I don't know if we can. Lonzo, despite how tough a spot it was the other day, he paid off in spade, and now he's cheaper. Anything you see in the value tier that like really stands out?
Yeah, Lonzo's interesting to me. 28 minutes again, so he seems to be in that 28-29 pretty regularly here. I think he can pay off. What is it, 4,600?
46
at that price. Yeah. I'm in on Lonzo.
Yeah, that price is interesting.
A whole lot else.
I like that price. I would say you never know what you're going to get from Miami. Davion Mitchell, obviously coming off a ceiling game, but it is Miami. You never know with Eric Spoelstra. That is a caveat. You never know with Eric Spoelstra. He is a wild card. You know that Tyler Hero is going to play. That's it. Everything else is up in the air. We'd also go back to Tyus if there's no Bradley Beal. That would be the other play we'd get to.
He's having that game's early in the second quarter right now, and he's doing very well.
He is doing very well. So are the Pelicans, and I hope the Suns decide to start playing basketball. I hope they start playing basketball again. That would be fun. Shooting guard we go. Speaking of a Sun, Devin Booker's there. We already talked about him. Donnie Mitch, 8,400, seemingly always gets up for these types of games. Jaylen Brown, questionable to play with the thigh. He missed that game the other day with the thigh injury. Trey Murphy, 79, back-to-back. We talked Jamal. RJ Barrett could possibly be without Scotty Barnes here. Desmond Bane is questionable. Boy, would that put Ja in the forefront of our minds if Desmond Bane doesn't play. And a couple guys we'll get to. What do you like Desmond Bane and up here, Keith?
Trey Murphy is a guy I've been playing a lot lately. Has had a really high ceiling, usage way up. Price is still totally fine. Actually under 8K now. We've been paying over 8K for him. So
We have.
definitely like that against this bad Phoenix defense. RJ Barrett, if Scotty Barnes misses another, I mean, he'd be heavily owned, and as he should be.
Yep.
Those are my two favorites here in this range.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm sure people, we got to have the goldfish memory with the last game that Toronto played without Scotty Barnes, second leg of a back-to-back against a really good team. Indiana's clicking right now, so don't read too much into that one. RJ is going to be just fine. We have the returning Cam Thomas. We're not going to go there. He came back the last time from an extended absence and immediately got hurt again with the same injury. So I doubt they push him. But that is going to obviously just muddy everything up terribly for Brooklyn. What else do you like here? Daniels, Kobe White, Mikal Bridges, Kamara, like what, anything?
I'm probably going to try to keep avoiding Kobe White. He's come to life a little bit here recently, but man, it's been a really rough season for him. It's a good matchup against Toronto, but I think I'd much rather have Giddey in that spot for a little bit more.
Agreed.
Yeah, Kamara has been playing big minutes. Again, that's not really a game that I like to Brooklyn, not a team I like to target. Not seeing a ton to love here in this 5K range.
I would have moderate interest in Shaden Sharp of all the if Denny Avdia sits again. That would be my one, probably like I'm good clicking here. He has a high ceiling, as we just saw last game. I'm not saying it just because this last game, we've just seen Shaden Sharp have a very high ceiling when he's extended. So if he were to start, he started the second half in favor of Denny. So that would be the one like Portland guy I'd be pretty high on.
Yeah, Zaire Williams has been playing a bunch of minutes on the other side of that game. He's 4,900. I have interest there, even though I don't love the game.
I actually completely poo-pooed Carlucci's. Carlucci asked me about him the other day, and I was like, no, don't ask me about him. I don't want to hear it. This spot is terrible. Apparently, we're just seeing this constantly where people are just scoring all these fantasy points on OKC. And I don't know how, because OKC still the number one defense by a mile statistically. And they're handing out fantasy points like Oprah's handing out cars, So I don't know. You're right. What I will say is I do think Cam Thomas being there does make some difference to everybody, just because Cam Thomas is going to operate with the ball and no one else is going to get the ball.
At the very least, it cuts into his usage. Very good point there. I overlooked that. Even if Cam Thomas doesn't play full minutes, that's still a big impact to Zaire.
Yeah, especially if they're starting and they have their minutes correlate at all. You would need Zaire to play 36, 38, I think. And then we know that's just not how Brooklyn operates. Drew questionable. If he sits, would we go back to the Peyton Pritchard?
Yes. Anytime any Boston starter is out, Pritchard is absolutely
it's true. It's true. It really is one starter. Give us one starter out, and Peyton Pritchard gets 30 minutes, and then the ceiling is astronomical. Yeah. So I agree there totally. Anything below 5K, it's probably first name that I saw was probably Grady Dick, $4,500. But that's with Scotty Barnes out. I probably wouldn't be totally comfortable playing Grady Dick at 45 if he played, but if he doesn't, I would click Grady
Don't mind that. Kevin Huerter has fallen into a pretty nice role here with Chicago. He's played around 30 minutes for 3 straight games. A guy that you need to make his shots because he doesn't do a ton else peripherally, but at that price in this role, I have interest.
Do you think he is IO dependent? Io DeSumo, do you think if Io plays in this game, Herter still plays the same minutes? Because I personally I don't, but I
Yeah,
mean, what's
I
your
think
opinion
they
on
probably cut him back into the mid-20s would be a fair projection. I think 30 is probably out of the question if Io's active. So, yeah.
it? Yeah, Io's questionable, so we'll see. It's his timeline is very weird because they gave us a. They originally said like there's no timetable, and now he's already listed questionable for the second straight game. So I don't know what to make of what Io's injury really is and the severity of it. If anyone sits for New Orleans, I think we go back to the Jordan Hawkins well. He had a pretty good shift in his first stint with the Pelicans on the Thursday slate. So he played 12 straight minutes. I don't know. Like if there's no McCollum, and if they actually have, like, if someone else sits, or Zion hasn't played back to backs, you have to assume Zion's not going to play the second leg of a back to back. There's legitimacy to Jordan Hawkins entering the starting lineup. So just getting ahead of that one now, I think Jordan Hawkins is a really good tournament play that could end up being really popular by the time the Pelicans
Yeah,
news
especially
comes
if he
out.
continues the pace that he's on here Thursday night. He's on his way to a smash.
Yep. Yeah, on the way to a smash. And amazing to see him play that many minutes consecutively because
Yeah.
he didn't start, so you just didn't know what the minutes were going to look like with him
We
not
talked
starting.
about it on the live show that even if Alvarado starts, there's nothing saying that Hawkins isn't going to end up with more minutes. That's currently how it's trending.
Anything like really cheap? I don't think so, but is there anything really cheap?
Let me see.
Oh, you know what? I have one for you
Yep.
actually. We didn't talk Malik Beasley. They already ruled Fontecchio out, and if they have no Dennis Schroeder as well, I think Malik Beasley could step into another one of those, like, hey, buddy, we need you for like high 20s minutes tonight. Only reason he didn't the other night is because they blew Boston out. 10 of 15 from the floor, 6-11 from three. Uh, if they're down some rotational pieces in a game that they could possibly get to the 4 seed in, I think Malik Beasley is poised for another big role.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. A guy who is, if he's making his shots, he can certainly get there.
If he is making his shots, indeed, it is a shot maker show here, Keith. That's the bottom line, right? That's what Stone Cold said. Small forward position. Jason Tatum is 99. I'm just not gonna. Zion's out. He's not gonna play back to back at this point of the year. He hasn't yet, so we can just operate as if he's not playing. Josh Hart is listed questionable with the knee, a knee that has apparently been had like tendonitis for years. And that was a recent revelation that Josh Hart gave us. So Tatum, Hart, J Dub, 8,100, possibly Jaylen Brown, Murphy, Barrett, we all talked about. Wiggins is listed questionable. That's a legit questionable because last slate he was listed probable. We saw Denny leave with two separate injuries in this game. First the ankle, then it was the quad, the highest rostered player of the day.
That was
the other day,
frustrating.
just dead after 5 minutes. The two highest rostered players of the day played 7 total minutes and had 8 fantasy points. Well, 2 of like 4, right? Because Day'Ron Sharpe and Zach Collins exist in the world. What do you make of like this Denny up tier of small forward?
I don't mind going back to Denny. He's playing inconsistent minutes, I would say, but he has potential to play like 34. So I don't mind going back to him.
Yep.
Wiggins has been playing well recently. Left unfortunately with an injury, and he's questionable. You said, yeah. I like the matchup for him against Indiana, and I really like the role he's falling into. If he was healthy, I'd have a ton of interest.
Agreed.
But with the injury, I'll have
Yep.
a little reservation there. But I do like what I'm seeing from him. Cam Johnson probably takes a hit with Cam Thomas back.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't love a ton below that. MPJ, tournament dart throw maybe, but Denver basically fully healthy now.
Yeah, he's fine, right?
Yep.
He's fine. I would say we would probably be more interested there if we find out Jamal Murray doesn't play or Aaron Gordon doesn't play on a back-to-back, right? Because then you're getting more solidified minutes and opportunity for Michael Porter. Going down the list, dude, if Asar Thompson, another guy who can benefit from some of these like rotation pieces being out for Detroit. He played 27 minutes the other day against Boston. He's really good per minute. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I think Asar Thompson's interesting. Talk Beasley, Karis LeVert. The minutes fluctuate for him. Anything else here, like the value tier?
Grayson Allen again. If Bradley Beal is out,
yep.
Royce is in play as well. Obviously, not as high of a ceiling there, but minutes should be there if no Beal again. Let's see here. Anything else? What's Max Strus been doing here lately? Probably not enough.
They just blow everyone out.
Yeah.
Like they've just been blowing everyone out, and he's just not playing enough. Like he's just not playing enough minutes. I don't know what they're gonna do. What their closing lineup is necessarily going to look like at full strength when, like, if DeAndre Hunter has it going offensively. Is Strus playing over Hunter? Probably not. It's fine, right? With Garland back, it's fine. It's just a fine play, right? It's just fine. Nothing like exciting about it. Richache probably is a guy you can play in tournaments. He's been better outside of that, Listen, Miami is what Miami is. OKC is another tough spot, but you could get to Richache. Georges Niang, we know, is like, if you make shots, he has a ceiling. Agbaji started. Probably can't go there, but he started in place of how about this? Let me ask you this one. If Kyle Anderson starts for Andrew Wiggins, would you go back to the well?
Is he actually going to play this time, or
I cannot answer that question. I cannot answer that question. That's not an answer I have.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he's in the starting lineup, you just have to kind of forget about it and go right back to him.
That's the thing, right? If he's starting, you just kind of. Yeah, gotta kind of have to do it, right? So, I think if Kyle Anderson were to start, I would honestly, I would consider it. Just throwing it out there. Let's go over to power forward. We've done enough talking. People are gonna start not watching the show because we just brought up Kyle Anderson's name again. They're just gonna be like, oh no, they don't know what they're talking about. They're talking about
the tilt is still real.
The tilt is so real. Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, already mentioned Zion's probably not going to play. Evan Mobley has been extended in big games. Bam is questionable. Another Miami Heat questionable. J-Dub. What do we got J-Dubbing up here, Keith?
Yeah, Durant, what we talked about it Thursday, has been playing so many minutes here recently. The Pelicans are bad on defense, and now if they're missing Zion as well, back-to-back for an old man, but you got to like the spot quite a bit.
Yep.
J-Dub, I like the game environment a ton for him. Nice fast pace there in that game. Certainly don't mind going that route. Mobley's a guy I played a lot. I don't like this spot for him, especially Porzingis on the other side can really match his length. One of the few people in the league that can. So tough spot for Mobley. Bam, it's been kind of a rough go for Bam here recently, but I don't mind the matchup for him.
Yeah, it's been brutal.
Yeah.
I will not play. I think I'm done playing Bam at this price.
I don't blame you. It's Hero.
Like, I'm not going to say
taking over.
Yeah, that's the one. That's what it is. Like with Tyler Hero being how good he is, unless we had Bam team to himself, I can't envision what the ceiling is often. Like I know there is a ceiling. We had it pretty recently. Hey, look, OKC, Keith, has a ceiling. This is actually fascinating that this has happened so frequently against OKC. But yeah, I mean, 8,200 for Bam just feels a little bit out of the price range. Especially, there's a couple names that I think that we're both going to like here. Desmond Bane, questionable. Jaren Jackson, 7,700. No one's a bigger Triple J fan than me. Well, maybe the scorekeeper from Memphis 2 years ago. Pascal Siakam, whatever. Chet Holmgren at $7,200, playing full capacity minutes, has to be one of the better price points we're going to find of anyone on the slate, I think. Because, obviously 17 rebounds is unlikely, especially when you play alongside Isaiah Hartenstein. But, dude, you're telling me that Chet's getting 32 minutes at 7,200 in this pace-up spot? I feel like there's not many more spots that I like better than this one that we've talked about.
Yeah, he might be the best value on the board, and that's rare to say for a guy in the 7K range. I mean, it happens, but generally it's on a fully healthy team as well, no less. But yeah, awesome game environment. Saw the 32 minutes. He's priced like he's playing 22, 24 minutes, which he had been. He's just way too cheap. Love this spot.
Yeah, and I think what you just said is like he's priced as if he just came back. He came back 3 games prior to the break and has now played 3 games post break. So, guys, he's fully back. And so, yeah, I think this is an absolute dream spot for Chet at the price. It's going to be hard for me, though, like to not want to play Triple J if Triple J is playing without Desmond Bane. He needs to stay out of foul trouble. Obviously, that's been, again, just rear its ugly head once. I mean, the fouls are just, what are we doing? We're regressing there after seemingly making a lot of progress.
If Cat's out, that becomes less of a concern, I feel like.
It's true. But he doesn't discriminate who he fouls against. That is true. He just fouls, dude. He has no care in the world who he's playing. He's like, another Oprah Carr situation, but you get a foul. Like, it's just what he has been doing. And he's still putting up like monster fantasy games per minute. Just give us the 35 minutes, dude. Just stay healthy or just stay out of foul trouble. I digress. We've spent too much time on Triple J foul trouble on this slate, but it's just me. I'm just begging. I'm just begging for you to just stay out of foul trouble once. Let's dip below OG 58, Toby 58, Jeremy Grant with a questionable tag. That's interesting. Played 37 minutes. He is questionable in this one. Santi Aldama 53. I think Aaron Gordon is definitely a rest candidate here with all the calf issues that he's had this year. Bol is 5K. He's having another really good game. What do we like here in this 5K tier?
Aldama is the first name that kind of sticks out to me, especially if Bane is out. Just a path for him to find the floor a little bit more. And we know he's a good producer when he's out there. So if he is live for 30 plus minutes, which he has played in 2 of the last 3, gotta like Aldama quite a bit. Let's see. Gordon, if he plays, I'd be okay going back to that. I know he struggled on Thursday, but had been playing well prior to that. Jeremy Grant's been playing really well too. Again, don't love that game environment, but if he's going to play upper 30s minutes, he's too cheap. Even without the usage, he's been doing it. He's been getting a few rebounds. He can always get a few blocks and steals, so he just kind of fills it up just enough where he can pay off this price tag.
Yeah, man, the minutes. I mean, Chauncey loves Jeremy Grant, huh? He just loves giving Jeremy Grant the minutes, and it's helpful if Denny doesn't play too, right? Because then they're down 2 starters. I know Shaedon Sharpe like profiles as a starter, and Scoot still exists in the world and stuff, but no Denny, no Ayton would definitely help Jeremy Grant if he's playing upper 30s minutes. So I agree. I will say. I'm gonna, if like Bol is just playing minutes, I'm just gonna go back to Bol. Yeah. Like he was like 65% in single entry tonight, Keith. At halftime, Bol 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 made threes, a block and an assist. Like, he just fills it up. And you said it too, like exactly the Bol situation on the live stream on Thursday. Anytime he's extended, he puts up a big fantasy score. I know he's 5,000. He's not like 44 or 48 anymore. But if he plays 30 minutes, 5,000 is just still too cheap. So I'd throw Bol in that same equation with Santi and Aaron.
Totally agree.
Well. Below 5K, Matas Bazulis coming off a really bad game against the Clippers. He was a non-factor, but obviously he's been starting. We'll see if he still starts if Ayo Dosunmu comes back. Al Horford could definitely find himself in the starting lineup if there's no Jaylen Brown or Drew Holiday. We know that they just start Al Horford if one of the starters are out. Trendon Watford has been a really good ball handler for them, but again, do they need another ball handler now that Cam Thomas is back? Carlo had a really average first half. Do you think he would start? Oh, did I skip over? You know what? I skipped over Kelly O. Kelly Olynyk 5K, I'm assuming plays on a back-to-back. He was out for rest purposes on the front leg. What do you think they do if it's just Zion out? Do you think they start both Kelly O and Carlo and they just go like behemoth starting lineup? Like, what do you think they do with their starting lineup?
Jordan Hawkins sitting there is interesting. We touched on him a little bit earlier. If they slide him in, then I think probably Kelly O just starts at the 5 and Carlo goes to the bench.
Kelly O at the 4 and then Macy at the 5. Because they're being crazy and starting Zion at the 3. With absolute no spacing whatsoever. Please Trey, make your threes. Please CJ, make your threes, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens. New Orleans, they were really popular on the Thursday slate. Could see that being the case again. Anything down here in the dumps? Chris Boucher, Zeke Naji, if someone sits, I don't think there's anything. But do you see anything?
Nothing that is standing out right now that we have not talked about yet. Yeah,
let's go to center where I haven't looked at Joker's price or 12-2. All right, whatever. I mean, say this. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say it. It's just he's gonna be low owned again, right? Like he's gonna be low owned again.
Yeah,
he's gonna.
I think you're right. There is no Luka and no Giannis on this slate, so maybe that changes a little bit.
That's true.
Especially if we get value. But I agree with you. Like he's not going to be high enough owned. Let's put it that way.
Well, the mid tier on this slate and like the potential for Brunson at 92 to be a really popular spend up and like. I don't know if a lot of people will be like, I can build a winning lineup with Jokic at 12-2. We'll see. I feel like you can, but 12-2, too cheap. Don't have much else to say. If Big Cat plays, what are your thoughts at 10K in a massively fast game environment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in. Just the rebounding that this guy's been doing this season, it kind of gives him a really safe floor. The fast pace gives him a few extra possessions as well. So, yeah, I'm in.
What about the mid tier at center? Kristaps Porzingis, awful game just in general for Boston. Couldn't get anything going. Was in foul trouble all game. Jalen Duren has been pretty good. Any games that he can stay out of foul trouble in. We have Miles Turner, who we actually loved the other day, and I'm kind of pissed off that I didn't get there more because he was in such a good spot against Toronto. But he has been really good coming out of the All-Star break. One of the main reasons that Indiana has been really good coming out of the break. Jakob Poeltl, 63, he should be extended. Hartenstein, the minutes are trending down for him now that they're playing Chet more. Jared Allen, 62. Precious will start here if there's no Mitchell Robinson or Karl Anthony Towns. What do we like here at center after Jokic?
Yeah, I'm not loving the next range down of guys that we haven't talked about. Porzingis, no thanks against Cleveland and their bigs there. Um,
Yeah.
Duren, foul trouble is a concern, and he's got Jokic. I mean, I don't love that.
Yep.
Miles Turner's got Bam on the other
Yeah.
side, so I'm not loving.
Possibly Bam.
Yeah, true.
Possibly
Miles Turner
Bam.
if Bam does not play, then becomes a wildly different conversation. I'd have a ton of interest there. I think the first name that I have some interest in is Jakob Poeltl, and the minutes have been down, but the Bulls have been absolutely crushed by centers this season. They've allowed the most points in the paint of anyone in the NBA. If he can see mid-20s, upper 20s minutes, Poeltl could go for 15 and 20 in this spot. So I have some interest there.
Yeah, they had him on the restriction.
Yep.
So let's see if they lift that restriction going into Friday's game. I would like to see if we got news because if Jakob Poeltl if we get news that he's playing 30, you don't need anything more than 30 minutes out of Jakob Poeltl. He's a very good fantasy player. Due to his ability to rebound, block shots, and all that good stuff. I mean, what do you think the Zach Collins ownership is? Nikola Vucevic is doubtful.
What did they price him up? 5,500.
Coming off against Ivica Zubac, 38 minutes, 21, 17, and 7. You would have thought that's Nikola Jokic's stat line.
Where was this when he used to start for the Spurs and he was massive chalk? He would score 20 fantasy points.
Two fouls in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. The price is probably not high enough if he starts again. There is that risk that I just touched on. We've seen it happen when he as a fill-in starter before, where he gets into foul trouble. So there's risk, but he's definitely underpriced for the role if Vooch is out.
I mean, look, I said it the other day, and I'll say it again. You said it too, without saying it. But Zach Collins with the Spurs is still in here. The 2 fouls quick. So I never go into a slate if it's a great matchup against Toronto, and he's a really good fantasy point per minute player, and I wouldn't necessarily not play somebody because their potential of foul trouble, because anybody could get in foul trouble. But, buddy, if you're playing a lineup that has Zach Collins and Jaren Jackson Jr. in it, buckle up. That would be, oh my God, my butt cheeks would be so clenched the whole night, dude. Holy cow. But he's a great play. He's a great play at 5,500. Onyeka Okongwu I know it's a tough spot, but that price is really cheap. No, 5,600 for Okongwu. Why is this price going in that direction? Keith, there?
I think I'm back.
We're back.
My stream totally froze up there for a second, but sorry, I heard nothing that you said about Onyeka Okongwu. But I'm back.
I was just saying. I was just saying, why are we here? Why? I get the spot isn't great, but why are we at $5,600 for Onyeka Okongwu? Why has that
just
happened?
haven't adjusted to the role. Since he's been in the starting lineup, he's played well, and he's played especially well recently. 30 minutes for a long time now. It's taking way too long for this price to adjust. I agree. He's too cheap. And you talked about the Thunder allowing points here recently. Big fantasy games to a lot of people. So despite their amazing defense, somebody probably gets there on Atlanta. Maybe it's Trae Young. Maybe it's Onyeka Okongwu.
Look, all I'm saying is he was $6,900 at the end of January, basically when he started when he took this job over. And now, after 4 of his last 5, well over 5x, 6x, 7x, showing 9x ceiling. I just don't understand the price. That's all I'm asking. I would say with definitive conviction, he is the direct pivot off of chalky Zach Collins.
Yes.
Like direct pivot off Collins for $100 more. What about cheaper? Yves Missi, no Zion. I mean, he's been really good on the glass time and time again. You could go there. 80-44. I don't know if there's anything that I really like. Do you see anything different? Is there any value plays that we should be taking a look at?
I do like Missi, especially if Zion's out. Should have the.
I'm saying he's
I
out.
agree.
I mean, he just hasn't played a back-to-back.
Totally agree. Don't mind Edie. Hasn't really shown a ceiling here recently. Just not playing quite enough. I'm not really seeing anything else to like here down in the value tier center. Cheap guy. No.
Nothing.
Especially when you have such strong values in Collins and Okongwu at 5K. There's no reason to go below that.
Yeah, Jabari Walker, like hat tip to Jabari Walker, who's playing the backup center role. But, you know, more often than not, they're going small. Like they're not even – Klingon's not really playing. Jabari Walker's not really playing. So, like, you know, he's a good fantasy point per minute guy, but it's just not like a fun click. All right, let's get to our roster build. Before we do, make sure to like the video if you're watching this now, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that good stuff. Salute to you guys, the viewers that tune in every single day and you know, support the channel, support Fantasy Alarm. We appreciate it very much. A lot of hardware won today, Keith. I don't know if you saw this. We have the the awards today from FWSA. We took home radio show, Howard Bender, Jim Bowden, Andrew Cooper. And then Coop won Fantasy Football Writer of the Year and the best series, the Fantasy Football Article of the Year. So salute to Coop, salute to Bender, salute to Bowden, salute to all of FA. We're smoking hot right now.
Congrats to all of them. That's an incredible accomplishment. Love to see it.
Love to see it. And you know what? Congrats to us too. You since joining the family, you joined the family. You're part of the family now, dude. You know?
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying you were writing Coop's articles for him, but like, you know, it's a team award, you know. Salute to Coop, he's great. Salute to Jim, salute to Howard. Really good stuff going on here at Fantasy Alarm. If you guys want to subscribe, you go down to the bio and you know, of this video and subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the site, daily content, obviously, all the good stuff. Let's get into the roster build. Enough time wasted. Where are we starting this build? Center value, Zach Collins was probably a guy that we wanted to go to, unless you wanted to pay up for Jokic. I don't know how you want to start the build, but like getting Collins or
Okongwu is the other name,
or Okongwu would be, I think, the play. If we're being chalky in like a cash game or a single entry, Collins is your play there. So I think we just like bite that bullet and we just play Collins as like a start. Is there any like other pieces as we went through the show that you were like,
that Chet Price just jumps off the page? I mean, I can't imagine not having him in a bunch of my lineups.
Yeah, I mean, the minutes, the spot, the ceiling, right? I mean, we saw it. Chet has an immaculate ceiling that we've seen time and time again over the last couple of years. So Collins, Chet to start the build. I mean, New Orleans is obviously going to be a really interesting talking point.
I think the value is definitely in New Orleans right now. Hawkins, I would be totally fine with, or Carlo.
Yeah.
Both of those guys seem really solid.
Yeah, let's do Hawkins. That one feels really good, especially with Zion not going to play. 6,600 is a really good price for the rest of our build. Do we have any spend ups we want to go to? Do we want to live in the fair and balanced game? I mean, obviously we'd probably be really balanced if we knew Towns status, if we knew Scotty Barnes status, if we knew like the Desmond Bain status. We would probably live in that in that range. But like, what stands out to you with all the data that we have?
Yeah, I think Jokic is the guy I would want to get up to from here, or Brunson.
Okay.
Those are the two names.
You say the word Jokic and I plug him into my lineup. You do not have to sell me on that dream at all.
And we have 52.75 left, so it's not even squeezing us that much.
No, it's not. No, it's not at all. Okay, point guard. Tyus would be the obvious play if anyone was out for or Pritchard. Like Tyus or Pritchard would be the obvious. Lonzo, we liked Lonzo at 46. That's a really good value that we can get to.
Yep, I'm good with any of those three.
55 for a small forward. I feel like there was a lot of forward. You know what? Let's do it like this. There was a lot of like these 5K range, like Bowl. Would you go back to the Bowl play? Santi Aldama, like what do you think about that tier? Santi versus Bowl, I guess, would be the question.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's injury situations on both teams that are going to affect decisions.
We're
going to have more information later. If Bane's out, Aldama becomes better. If Beal is out, Bowl is better. We have to see what breaks there. Bowl probably has the higher ceiling if he starts again. Like I said, we'll have to see how the injury news breaks. But in a vacuum, I slightly prefer Bowl, but it's really close.
Okay. 57.50 small forward guard spot remaining. Anything? All right, small forward.
If Io's out again, I feel pretty good about Herder at 43, which would let us go up a little bit. Let's see if anything else.
So that's actually a good combo if everything breaks correctly. Herder quickly could be a nice little like double pairing if that news does break correctly. Like if Scotty sits, if Ayo Dosunmu sits, that would be like a nice 1-2 punch there.
Yep.
I'm just thinking, usually like going into the slate with the assumption that they play. We didn't talk Aaron Nesmith. We didn't also talk Bruce Brown, 4,100. He played 28 minutes the other night for New Orleans. Could Bruce Brown be in the starting lineup for New Orleans as well? He was just not playing because of rest. There's a lot of interesting things in that one too, I think.
Yeah, I feel like they had a situation where a bunch of people were out and he still didn't start a week or two ago, I think. But that doesn't mean I don't want to play him. I would still play him off the bench if they were missing a few guys. Pritchard fits this build, I think, if Drew is out.
Yep.
But again, that's kind of dependent on injury news.
What do we got at small forward? Shaden is injury news dependent because he just won't play enough minutes typically. Asar Thompson will.
I like that.
It's a pretty good spot. Like second leg of a back-to-back for Denver. Really good fantasy per minute guy with already definitive news there. 6,400 for a guard spot. Kind of a terrible range, but oh god, that's a terrible range.
Yeah, it is.
That's a bad range to be in right there. I'm not gonna lie. There's a $600 gap between Mikal Bridges and Jose Alvarado, and like I would say the safest option there is just Toumani Camara, but I'm never like fully convicted on Toumani Camara at that price unless guys were out. Maybe we make some adjustments to Asar. I mean, let's go back to the guard. Let's go back to guard. Do we have any other guard value that we wanted to, like Tyus 38 obviously is a really good value if somebody sits. Nesmith 4K we didn't really talk about, but he's been starting and playing solid minutes.
Grady Dick, but if Scotty's out,
it's a lot of contingencies there. There's a lot of contingencies there.
Grayson Allen, if Beal is out, there's a potential for somebody to open up in that 4K range, though, for sure. Like, I think it's more likely than not that there's a play that we feel good about as a 4K guard here before live.
Yeah, we'll just do the Kevin Herter, Emmanuel Quickly build, and with the caveat, as everyone listens to us, just like we're working through a process on the single entry build. But the caveat is, if these players, like if Ayo Dosunmu plays, we're not as high on Kevin Herter. If Scotty Barnes plays, you can play Quickly, but it's not as surefire at 7,200. So for the audio audience, the lineup that we just constructed: Lonzo Ball, Jordan Hawkins, Kevin Herter, Chet Holmgren, Nikola Jokic, Emmanuel Quickly, Bol, and Zach Collins. $0 left over. Keith, any final words for the people as we skedaddle for the weekend? Because you know what? We don't record on the weekends. We will be recording Monday through Friday next week. I'm pretty sure Keith is recording with me for most of that while John's abroad. But any final words for the people heading into the weekend here?
I don't believe I have anything. Should be a fun one on Friday. Plenty of injury news still to break, as always with the NBA. But enjoyed being with you. I will be seeing a lot more of you, like you said, in the coming week.
All right, brother. Good stuff. Shout out to FA Nation for always tuning in. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
This is the